and you take anger to change, and you stay in the anger, you can't change, you can't shift because you're in the anger. It's hard to shift when you stay in that state. So you've got to go back to neutrality.
Yes. It's
And
just it's the laws of physics. It's the laws of energy.
you are the law. You're just not aware. I'm going live. I'm giving some value, a little bit of value of what we're talking about. It's really a great topic for everyone to really get into the spirit of. Give me 1 second. Put this in here. We're going over getting into the spirit of it, but we're really deciphering what it truly means. And I'm putting it up here on the page. And you guys get to get some really good value today on getting into the spirit of it. What does it truly mean? There we go. And I'm mixing a couple of different videos so that we get a better understanding of what we're talking about. But this is the work of Thomas Troward, and the way he would write, he would really go in, get into the spirit of the writing, get into the spirit of what he was trying to transmute. And the better we can understand this idea, the better we can understand our life and everything that we've created. And I'm going to start this off with entering into the spirit of it. What a common expression, and yet how much it really means. How absolutely everything. How absolutely everything. We enter into the spirit of an undertaking, into the spirit of a movement, into the spirit of an author, even into the spirit of a game. And yet it makes all the difference both to us and to that into which we enter. I enter into the spirit of goals. I begin to envision something to do next, what to create next. I enter into the spirit of eating. I start getting ideas. Everything's feedback. I must first enter into the spirit of a thing so that I receive intuition. I must first enter into the spirit of a game to begin to receive what I need to do, how to play the game, what I'm going to do. I must first into the spirit of listening to music to find music. I must first get into the spirit of building a chair till I had the chair. I had to get into the spirit of building a home before I started to receive the receiving side of things, to receive the how. Creation is made twice, first in the imagination, then in form. I must first enter into the spirit of the idea so that I am on the receiving side of what I need to have so that I can become and see what I would like to see. The artist first gets into the spirit of the painting, and then he paints his painting. Everything's created twice, but first in the imagination, then in form. No one ever has the first painting, the original. The original is still in the field. We think, and then we transcend. We reduce down. We were informed. Spirit must first go back to spirit so that it may receive the spiritual thing, the demonstration, and then move it back into the body. enter into the spirit of it. All the things I've been able to accomplish to this time was because I entered into the spirit of the idea, and then I received the how. The how would come. But I first had to enter into the spirit of the thing. In all of affairs, there are two parts: the essential and the incidental. Never forget that all things come from, and I'm going to use words again so that we understand the movement. We must go back to God. You want to call it God, you want to call it universal intelligence, you want to call it infinite intelligence, you want to call it energy. Science is when working to find what is energy, what is information, what is data, what is it really? Well, we can call it God, we can call it source, we can call it the hidden power, we can call it infinite intelligence, universal intelligence. But you are that energy that gives life to that thing that is invisible and has no form, but it goes into a form. It moves into a body, it'll move out of a body. Nobody really knows what is consciousness. Everybody's trying to figure out what is consciousness. Is somebody really conscious? How do we become conscious? Why is it that the man has more consciousness than a pig or a horse? What gives him more consciousness? What gives him more relativity to get more ideas and to go beyond what it knows? How do we become conscious? How come some people have less consciousness, more consciousness? This is this hidden power that we're talking about. But this hidden power, this essence we call life, is what gives life to a body. The brain and the body have no life and power. But what gives it life and power is this essence, this spirit. So for spirit to move into another thing, for spirit to have an expression, it must have a form. It must have information. Never forget the incidental is a product of the essential. But the incidental, the results outside of ourselves, are taking form from the essential. But the thing is, if we truly knew what we were getting into the spirit of it, majority of us would not go there, and we would choose differently. So consciousness at the quantum state, the vacuum space of reality, is we are not, as physical beings, normally not aware, or maybe every now and then we get awareness and we figure out what we've gone into. Normally, at the three-dimensional field of reality, it's already the result. We already see the manifestation of what we got into the spirit of. It is very important to know into that which we have entered into the spirit of. And the way we see it immediately is in results. Enter into the spirit of it, what a common expression, and yet how much it really means. How absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. The pen, the coat. Somebody had to think this to bring it down into form. The phone, somebody had to imagine. Was getting information from the field gave them the information to create the phone itself. They had to get into the spirit of a chair to have the chair. They had to been sitting on the ground, bugs crawling all over them, sitting on a rock and tired of the rock. They had to dream and envision something softer. They had to know that the rock was hard, or the sand and the dirt was not right for itself. Humans are the only ones that we see that lives outside of its nature. It doesn't enjoy laying on the ground for long periods of time. This doesn't like animals or bugs crawling all over it. So it envisions, it gets ideas, and it knows what it does not want. Therefore, it receives what it wants. It knows that it does not like laying on the ground for long periods of time, bugs crawling all over it. It's conscious enough that it sees beyond, it gets images beyond, to lift itself onto a chair, to move itself out of an environment, to build a home, to take itself out of the environment, to take itself out of the snow, the rain, the cold. It identifies with its polarities and says, I no longer want this. So what is it that I want? It understands pain or fears or doubts or worries, therefore it goes beyond them. And so spirit goes back to spirit. So it gets ideas beyond its form. And then it gets these images on the screen of the mind, and then it goes out and it acts it out. It must enter into the spirit of a thing. Without this spirit, we would never have a thing as form. What a common expression, yet how much really this means. How absolutely everything. We enter into the spirit of a movement. We enter into the spirit of an undertaking. We enter into the spirit of an author, into the spirit of a game. And yet it makes all the difference both to us and that into which we have entered. A game without any spirit is a poor affair. An association in which there is no spirit falls to pieces. And a spiritless undertaking is sure to be a failure. You really get into the spirit of building something you really don't want to do, it falls apart. On the other hand, the book which is meaningless to the unsympathizing reader is full of life and suggestion to one who enters into. You enter into the spirit of the author, it has a vivifying effect. You get more out of it. You get into the spirit. What's the author trying to tell me? What was he trying to express? What was he trying to understand? You're going, spirit is reading, but it's going back to spirit to get ideas, to get self-reference, to go back to your mind, to the past, go back to go into the future, to see what it means for you. Everything is that I'm talking about is something that is not publicly observable, but it is a mental movement. And science is trying to say, well, where is he going? Where did he get the idea? Where did Einstein get the idea? Where did Edison get the light bulb? And how come he's getting ideas beyond what you can hear, see, taste, touch, and smell, and he's receiving information how to light up the world? So he's using this thinking stuff. He's using this mental movement. But he's tapping into this field of consciousness and receiving, retrieving. He is extracting information from the field to make things publicly observable. A game without any spirit is a poor affair. An association where there is no spirit falls to pieces. And a spiritless undertaking is sure to be a failure. On the other hand, the book which is meaningless to the unsympathizing reader is full of life and suggestion to one who enters into the spirit of the writer. The man who enters in the spirit of the music finds a spring of refreshment. And some find recital, which is entirely missed by the cold critic, who comes only to judge according to the standard of the rigid rule. And so on in every case that we think of. If we do not enter into the spirit of a thing, it has no invigorating effect upon us, and we regard it as dull, insipid, and worthless. This is our daily experience, and these are the words in which we express it. And the words are well chosen. They show our intuitive recognition of the spirit, or they show us our unawareness. We may not even be aware of what we're entering into. They show you what you know and what you do not know. You may have to go back and watch this several times to get a different perception. I'm speaking, and as I'm speaking, you're going on thought trips, and you're having to come back to what I'm saying. You're missing words. You come back to it, you'll get more information. You get more. How do you get more information? Because you are getting self-reference from yourself to yourself, by yourself, from past experiences, back to form, back to where you're at right now. So why is it good to repeat things over and over and over? Because you're getting self-reference from yourself to yourself, and then you're getting it also, you're getting information from the field itself. Spirit must go back to spirit to get more what? Intuition. Receiving set of information. They show our intuitive recognition of the spirit as the fundamental reality in everything, however small or however great. Let us be right as is the spirit of a thing, and everything else will successfully follow. By entering into the spirit of anything, we establish a mutual vivifying action reaction. We go back and watch this again, you will have a vivifying action reaction. Every time you're listening to this for a goal, for creation, to change yourself, to change your reality, you receive an action reaction, a vivifying effect, because spirit must get into the spirit of a thing to receive intuition from the thing, depending on your point of support, from where you position yourself, from where you view the world, how you view the world, how you view yourself. But there is always a mutual vivifying effect. Let us be right as to the spirit of a thing, and everything else will successfully follow. By entering into the spirit of anything, we establish a mutual vivifying action reaction between it and ourselves. We vivify it with our own vitality, and it vivifies us with the great livingness and interest, which we call its spirit, which we call its spirit. We got into the spirit of playing football. We started to understand how the game is played. We get into this. We start to receive the vivifying effect. If you're a spectator, you're seeing it from the distance and experiencing what they're experiencing from a distance. If you're on the field, you're experiencing it from that experience, and you are learning what it means. Means is the golden ratio. You understand the feeling. You understand the movement. When John F. Kennedy asked Warner von Braun what would it take to take a man to the moon and back, he said the will to do it. Kennedy did not experience the moon. The man that experienced the moon would have been the one that was in alignment with experiencing the moon. So here we find the vivifying effects. And to each individual, it's only present to how they position themselves. I wanted a different life. I had to choose what kind of different life. That way I may receive the intuition proper to organize me to experience that reality. You may be looking this at a distance. You may be watching this live. You may be seeing it in the future. Clearly define effort. Clearly define how you want to experience life, the way you want. But you will always find the vivifying effect. I remember many times I wanted a better life, but I wasn't choosing to have a better life. So I kept getting into the spirit of my own data, my own previous programming, and I kept entering the thing that I no longer wanted. But in all two things, in all two affairs, there is a vivifying effect. And then there's a thing to be dealt with. Remember that you are the thing that vivifies all things. And the thing that you receive, the results you receive, are action reaction. We first vivify it, then it vivifies us with a vivifying effect. You vivified it. I remember getting results that I didn't like, upset with the world. But I was the one that created it. So this is where we find the essential and the incidental. Now I'm going really fast for you guys, but this is a lot of knowledge, really good information. You're going to want to go back to it so that you understand it and understand yourself in the placement of it. I'm going to play a couple of minutes with Bob here.
Most people have is they have trouble reaching their goals. And I was going over this lesson myself today, reviewing it, reading it, studying it, and I thought when we enter into the spirit of it, I think the key word there is it. What is it we're entering into the spirit of? When we say it, I think what we want to be looking at is our goals or a project that we're working on. I'm working on projects all the time. As I got thinking about this, as we enter into the spirit of it, we go to spirit and we create the good that we desire. That's where we created. We created in a spiritual realm. And then, as we get into the spirit of it, we're into the vibration we have to be in to attract everything that's necessary when it's necessary. We attract it. Now, I think the key part of this lesson is, what is it? Are you really entering into the spirit of it? You see, when you're entering into the spirit of it, you don't enter into what you've got now, because what you've got now may be just a very small fraction of whatever it is you're going after. When you enter into the spirit of it, you enter into the complete, the whole thing. It's like Van Gogh said when he was asked how he did such beautiful work. He said, I dream my painting, and then I paint my dream. He could have said, I get into the spirit of my painting, and then I paint my spiritual concept. See, we build the prototype in spirit, and then it moves into form. So we're into the spirit of it, we're into the complete, we're into the finished product.
We're talking about the polarities, positive, negative. We are always entering into the spirit of a thing. We're normally not aware of what we're entering into. And if we did, we wouldn't do it. The lesson today that we're going over is a very encompassing, very, very large aspect of reality that we are experiencing. But knowing what it is that we are entering into the spirit, so we understand the vivifying effect. And then we're talking about Ho'oponopono. Here, I've got I'm going to do a really short, quick clip. This is Joe Vitale on Zero Limits and Dr. Hu Lin. And he's talking about sometimes we get things we don't want. We enter into the spirit of a thing, but a lot of times we don't know what it is that we got into. Remember that if you can feel it, you've already gone into it. If you can feel its polarity, is it positive or negative? If it's negative, you've already gone into it. If it's positive, you've already gone into it. At a quantum space of vacuum, the vacuum space of reality, at the quantum level of reality, you are entering into information, but a lot of it, there's so much that we don't know that we've entered. Spirit is moving into data, information, science, trying to figure out what is data, what is information, what is consciousness. They don't know. But down here in the physical reality, we have it in experiences. When you find something you do not like, know that you have entered into the spirit of it and you gave it life. Joe and Hulin are talking, and Ho'oponopono are saying, take 100% responsibility for all things in life. That way you can reverse it. You can change it. When you don't take responsibility, you don't have power. And when you don't have power, you consider yourself a victim or you see things outside of your control. But when you take 100% responsibility, this is where you induce power. You go back into the power of which has given power to all things. You can realize or recognize your power when you take 100% responsibility. Thank you, I love you, forgive me, I'm sorry. And that allows you to go back, back into the spirit of pure divine oneness with creation. And then then you choose again. Coagular, coagular, reangulate creation, redirect reality. Now, I do this all the time. I'm entering into the things. Sometimes I enter something, I see a result, I don't like it. Well, I've got to go back. Thank you, I love you, forgive me, I'm sorry. Let's go back to creation again. And let's reduce back down what we want to see. This is how I've been able to continually progress my life, continually redirect reality by going back to spirit and get into the spirit of something that I would desire. How to build a better reality, how to get better results, how to get the results that I want to see, how to develop myself. Remember, you can never go anywhere else other than yourself. Sometimes the self does not have the right answer. So your spirit must go back to spirit. If you're down here in three-dimensional world, you got the wrong idea, you're using the wrong ideas, you're getting the bad results, you must let go of your prior thinking because it's not working. Then you must go back to spirit. Spirit must go back to spirit for a new idea. And everything can be overcome. Everything, in anything. Why? Because you're spirit. Watch this.
This is you. This is chaos.
The whiteboard is you. The whiteboard is you. That's the illustration. When he starts to write or draw on the board, this is what you're becoming. When you get into the spirit of idea, whether you're right or wrong, or whether you know it or what's not, you're still given form.
So once I heard that there are no problems.
I'm sorry?
Once I heard that there are no problems, but only situations.
What does that mean?
It means that it becomes a problem because of our understanding it as a problem.
No, it becomes a problem because it's data. See, now if, for example, you were at zero, you'd be fine. But as soon as you start talking, you're talking, as Dr. Vitale is saying, you're talking this. But here's who you are. But when you talk trash, this echoes the trash. But if you were already perfect, you wouldn't say anything. Zero. So what you're saying is nonsense. But as soon as you start talking, you're talking, as Dr. Battali is saying, you're talking this, but here's who you are. But when you talk trash, this echoes the trash.
This echoes the trash. I began to think of have a better life. I started to receive ideas of how to have a better life. We've all got to understand, we are the spirit that's given form. We are the energy. We've got to be so aware that we are the thing that's given life to all things around us. Where is our point of support? Is it in ourselves or is it outside of us? Can you guys see me fine?
Well, we see your picture.
Okay.
No, we see.
We've got to be so aware that we are the thing that is given life to all things. And when we take 100% responsibility, we become aware that I am given the life to all things I've seen. I started to think, how can I have a better life? I started to receive ideas of how to have a better life. As I'm streaming and receiving different ideas, then I start to go back to my old programs of beliefs about myself, to myself. And then I started to reason myself out of not doing the thing because I had no memory of how to do it. This is automatic. You have a perfect brain. If you're talking yourself out of going beyond what you know, if you're talking yourself out of not creating or having a better life, if you're talking, if you're getting fear and you're getting down and worry, you have a perfectly operating brain. If you don't get up and go do the thing that you need to do, want to have, if you are afraid to go do the things, you have a perfectly operating human brain. Because the brain is automatic and its job is to protect the body. And when it recognizes, when the memory recognizes that you're trying to go beyond its own memory, it releases fear, doubt, worry. It releases a chemical. And you begin to go into fight or flight, freeze, fight, flight. And you begin to wonder, is it possible? Can it be done? And the average individual lets go of the dream, they let go of the vision, and they don't go co-create again. Co-create beyond what they know. They don't get outside of themselves. They go back to what they know. They go back to the memories. They get into the spirit, back of the data, back of all the past, back of all their beliefs. And then they move that right back into the brain. And the brain fires and wires together. What fires wires together. And they go back to their old data. They go back to their old lifestyle. They go back into becoming them again, which that is not them. It is prior memory. So then they go move back into the lifestyle. And then they're right back on point to where they were before. You got a perfectly operating system. What's not normal is to think of something more, think of something greater, receive the idea, move that vision in the body, even though you feel the fear, the doubt, the worry, get up and go and act. Get up and re-educate that body to act and behave it was never going to behave. And re-educate it, realign it with a new theory, with new facts, with new actions, with new experiences, and then it grows. That is not normal. And this is what we teach. I always knew I was not normal. I was never meant to live a normal life. My awareness was always causing me to go beyond what it knew. I had an awareness at 2 years, 7 months because I had memory of other lives, other times, other experiences. I knew that I could never live life at first person because I had memory. This always caused me to redirect myself and say, no, there's something more. I know I was meant for more. I know there's more. I was getting information from the field. The field was giving me information. I've been researching this information all my life. Why? Because I knew that I was meant for more. Now we teach people how to have a better lifestyle, how to co-create, how to set goals and achieve goals. It is your opportunity to make a decision. But if you want to be normal, keep doing what you're doing. If you want to live a normal lifestyle, let the brain process as it normally processes, and you're going to have a normal lifestyle. But if you want to have something more, you want to achieve greater things, sign up, send me a message. Make a decision that you're going to change your lifestyle today. not tomorrow, right here, right now. Invest in yourself, change yourself. I remember working with Bob years before he passed away. I wanted to learn how to teach this information so I could help people. I could help myself, help other people at a global level. And that's what we do. But you've got to make a decision. Not making a decision is a decision. And you go back to normal lifestyle. We're out of time. Thank you guys. Go back and watch this again. You want to learn more about what we're doing? Send me a message. Get involved with changing yourself. There's always a better way. And we teach that. Thank you guys. Thank you for everybody that's on the call. And have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Love, love.
Love, love.